Quite a number of people didn't know she existed, except for her parents and maybe people she grew up around, and maybe her classmates. But because of the unfortunate incident that happened, she has become popular. I would dare say popular for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. This young woman was cut down in her prime. She was a student of Sokoto College of Education, and she was a 200 level student. It could have been your daughter, it could have been mine, it could have been somebody else, it could have been your neighbor. She was cut down in her prime for an offense that our classmates felt was they had the right to kill her over. She was first of all stoned, beaten, bloodied, and then somebody came out on social media. They even did a recording of themselves doing it. And they came out and said, yes, this young man was holding the matches and said, yes, it was the one that struck the match that lit her up and burnt the young woman to death. I'd like to first of all address the fact that quite a number of people began the story by saying her name is Deborah Yakubu. Others came and said her name is Deborah Samuel, but her parents, her father is called Garba Emmanuel. So her name is Deborah Emmanuel. This young woman, her remains have finally been picked. I really cannot imagine, Yika Kenny, the kind of pain that man would have to go through. Her body was taken by the police and the DSS, and I wasn't at the morgue. This man had to leave Niger State and travel all the way to Sokoto to claim her body, take her back home for burial, so he could give his daughter a befitting, at least, a rest and lay her body to Mother Earth. He had to sign a lot of documents before her body was even released to him in the first place. But of course, the body was finally released. They said they are doing investigation. The video is on the pages of social media. The young man was there making all the noise. And yet we are investigating. Okay, what are we investigating? And then the one that shocked me the most was when the school was shut down, then this young man and those who perpetrated this injustice were picked up. Then they went on a rampage. For what? I mean, parents of this girl, civil society organizations had not even gone on a rampage to say you killed an innocent child. You killed an innocent young woman. The people who did the crime went on a rampage. So much that Aminu Tambuwal, the governor of Sokoto State, had to shut down the state, gave a 24-hour directive, a total curfew, to make sure nobody steps in or out. That was when calm returned. You could see, this is a typical example. The police had to, you see one of the policemen come there, to kick out. They almost went into the palace of the Sultan of Sokoto because they claimed they were aggrieved because some of them were picked up. What kind of society are we breeding?
It's just unfortunate that we have gotten to this stage, and at times I think about it in my own little corner, and I wonder if Nigeria can gain back its lost glory. As much as most of the times I try to be, not to be pessimistic, I try to be optimistic, but I tell you,
the key word is try.
These things are so breaking, and it's so unfortunate that this is where we find ourselves. And I begin to wonder, yes, well, at the time this insurgency, well, terrorism, when it started as probably insurgency, but gradually now we have acknowledged the fact that we are facing some sort of terrorism. Well, it's just unfortunate that as at that time we know that the story all over was that this set of people, they want to pull down the educational system because of some reasons best known to them. And when I begin to see all of this, I begin to say that over the years, it seems to me as if they are achieving their
Aim.
in all of this, because I tell you, it's only the living that can go to school and get educated. And unfortunately, we realize that power is out of the hands of even those that are supposed to be in power. It seems as if it is the mob, it is the people out there that has got the power. And it seems as if you look at some things that happens and you want to say, like my people will say, everybody just goes out there to take laws into their hands, and it seems as if it's right. And I begin to wonder about the undertone of even the leaders themselves, and I want to begin to say that is it that they share secretly the same opinion with this
which brings me to this topic of leaders, Yinka Kenny. As we speak, we have not heard, and I mean heard at all, from the presidency. I mean, this is a presidency. I like to use the word presidency now. I really do not like the word. But this is a presidency that is usually very quick to respond to certain issues. They're the ones talking about this. They're the ones talking about that.
There was a tweet from the presidency condemning the killing.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, there was a
tweet.
Yes, there was a tweet. Well,
Yinka Kenny, are you saying a tweet is enough?
I'm not saying that a tweet is enough, but then that is where we find ourselves.
Really?
There are some things that
you just that we know was written by somebody who handles the president's Twitter handle. Really?
No, you see, I've always not shared that opinion with you, because I want to say that if something comes out from the presidency, it's speaking out the mind, or they are the words of the president, because it doesn't just come out, it comes out with the seal of the president.
Should I now ask you?
So I'm not saying that the tweet is okay.
How many Nigerians are on Twitter?
I'm not saying that a tweet is okay, but the fact is that, well, that is where we find ourselves here.
A lot of people prefer the time when President Muhammadu Buhari was not back on Twitter. I prefer the time when he wasn't back on Twitter, and then there will be a statement. I mean, there will be an elaborate statement written by our dearest colleague Deborah from the office of the president.
I ask you that over the years where we have heard statements upon statements, what has moved on? What has moved forward?
At least we will say that they spoke. Remember that when this young man, Kolade, was killed in Lagos,
that were not backed up with action, then where do we go from here? If I, as a parent, and the way I run my home and direct my children or take care of my children is much more of talk and not action. Over the time, they begin to take me for granted. When they want to air, they say, she will just talk, she won't do anything. That's where we find ourselves. It's an unfortunate thing, honestly, to me. I went through a little bit of psychological discomfort in the past 2 weeks, and I just cannot imagine what it is to lose